Oh, actually, can I set up predictions? It's late. It's a little bit late to set up the predictions, but I will do my best as we are getting into the lower semi-finals. The semis are now upon us, and upon hearing this message, you do have a couple of minutes here to place your bets on who you think is going to advance onto the grand finals. Will it be the Zerg or will it be the Protoss? Will it be one or the other? There we go. Predictions are open, so place your bets in the chat. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient System, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Team Onside Gaming. It is Solar. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team Abydos. It is NightMare. And even though Solar is a more accomplished player internationally in these premier events as well, even though Solar is one of the best Zerg players in South Korea, he has fallen to NightMare before. Don't know how much longer I'm going to bring this up, but for now I will. But in the qualifiers for this season of GSL, NightMare brought down Solar to qualify for GSL. So yeah, NightMare has already shown us, has already proven to us that he can beat Solar when the time arises, can bring it to him, but it's about consistency. Can he do it week after week? Can he do it here and now? That is the question. Coming into this, Solar is the favorite, but NightMare, he's no slouch. He's no slouch. He can force the ace match. He can even take the series as well on a good day. And the question becomes, is today that day? Is it today that day? So far, Hatch Gas Pool, we foresee unnatural natural out of Solar, so nothing too crazy. Everything's looking normal, everything's looking standard. Likewise, NightMare across the map, going for a gate expand, or gate cyber expand. So everything's looking normal for now. NightMare, of course, he's a player who thrives in the mid game of PvZ. He is willing to go into Skytoss if the need does arise. And that definitely can happen on Ancient Cistern. Oh, as that was a kill, not a cancel. NightMare stepping up a little bit. We are able to cancel that second pylon, but the Adept is not able to get here in time. The goal behind this, by the way, is that NightMare, you go for a pylon block, you go for a second pylon block as well, and you just delay until your Adept arrives. And if your Adept gets here in time, you're able to snipe that drone and delay this third base even longer. Alas, Solo was able to take control of that third base location. Does get up and running, and NightMare even lost the pylon, so a bit of a slip up there. A better start for Solar. NightMare maybe just a little bit nervous, or just waking up. I would empathize with the waking up. I did. Guten Morgen. Here we go. So we do have a flood of links going across the map. The goal here for Solar is to maybe deny or delay the third base. Is going to be checking if it's going to be thrown down. Does confirm the location of the Adepts. And Lings are going to be moving out at the same time. The first Oracle does dive into the main, or does head towards the main base. Actually heads towards the natural instead, or towards the third. But Queens are in position. Lings are looking for a surround, and it looks like they're going to catch one. No, they don't catch an Adept. Oracle makes that just in time. NightMare will hold on to his third base without losing anything. Meanwhile, that Oracle goes for Larva, but doesn't quite catch anything. Does he get a drone? Up! Oh, not quite. Doesn't even get a drone. As NightMare is going for a Twilight Council follow-up. I'm ready for Glaives. I am ready for Glaive Adepts, Papi. Let's go. Let's go. Catching up in the chat. I've only got 69 grapes left. Perfect. You're an animal, no clone. You're an animal. Hi. Oh, as the oracles are diving into the main base, they get a couple more drone kills. 3 drones will go down. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. The oracles will survive. Lings are still being active. Lings are still trying to force a reaction back at him. There is no shield battery, by the way, but we don't need one. The positioning is just too good. NightMare does hold on to the third base. Does get baited out into the open, but we have plenty of units available. Solar going for a massive wave of Lings behind this. Well, we've seen this before. We've seen Dark go for this style, this mass Ling style here on Ancient Cistern. The goal is to keep NightMare busy back at home, is to eventually overcome these gateway units and give you the breathing room you need to tech up even further, to get into hive tech, to get your bases up and running. Now, the downside to this is that Solar, he is cutting drones to make this happen. He is cutting workers, but it's going to pay off. He's going to be punishing the lack of shield battery. He gets the first adept. He gets a surround on these stalkers as well. Ooh, another stalker is going to be going down. And he forces the army back. Now, you could argue, isn't this really hurting the economy of Solar? In a way, yes. Solar, he's still only on 59 drones. But if he's able to get economic damage done, then it is going to be worth it. And there we go. He does dive in. He gets a surround on the shield battery. He's even going to get some probes as well. NightMare, though, is focusing on his push. How many gateways do we have? He's going for a 3-base all-in. We have 8 gates. We're about to have a 9th gateway up and running here for NightMare. Solar, he's in some trouble. We do see us around, but the stasis trap is going to be going off. Mass Ling to defend against an 8-gate all-in. That's not quite what we need, unless he gets us around. Oh, as another stasis trap goes off. Also, I kept saying 8-gate. It's a 9-gate all-in. Speaking of another, oh my god, the stasis traps, they don't stop, Bobby. We do have a Baneling Water Bite. 6 probes are going to be going down. A lot of economic damage is done, but NightMare doesn't care too much as he's looking to snowball out of control. A lot of Lings are falling. The Queens are brought to the front line as well. Oh, this is going to be so close. Oh, mistimed! Stasis trap is going to be wasted. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Solar. He's got more Lings in production. NightMare has to be careful not to be surrounded. But that's still a lot of stalkers. So far, though, he's making great use of these choke points. A couple of Banelings are morphed in as well. They will help. They do get some decent connections. The Lings are coming in from behind, but here come the Oracles to support. Another massive stasis trap goes off, and these stasis traps are winning NightMare the game. He pushes on forward. The Queen count gets cut in half. This is becoming too much. This is snowballing out of control. Unfortunately, Solar, he didn't recognize what NightMare was doing until it was too late. Again, Ling Queen, it's so difficult to defend against these 3-base all-ins without roaches, without ravagers, without a backbone to your army. The backbone in this case with the Queens, but maybe it could have been enough. Maybe it could have been enough if it wasn't for those stasis traps. Because every single one of them was so juicy. GG gets called, and NightMare takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Solar intentionally skipping his Roach Warren, intentionally just cutting workers as well, in preparation for a later game, or in preparation, or in the hopes, of course, of keeping NightMare back at home, keeping him more defensive. NightMare, though, he had other plans. Did have other plans. Actually, from the last game. Who won the last Protoss game? NightMare. NightMare, yes. NightMare did 2-0 Arcfire. Before that, Arcfire 2-1 Dark. Is the Dark Slayer. Here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Gressfarm, we have the South Korean Zerg player oh my god, sorry, as I did put in the wrong score. My apologies. There we go. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming down in this series. Ooh, looking to claw his way back into this. The winner, by the way, moves on to the grand finals. Can he make it? Can he force the ace match? It is Solar. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss representing Team Abydos, having a lead, taking the lead in this series, one game away from making it to the grand finals. It is NightMare. Oof. Doing so well for himself there in that last game. The stasis traps were on point against those Lings. So damn good, and we could see how quickly things can snowball out of control in favor of the Protoss. But again, Solar, he just had his own, he took his own risks, went for a very aggressive style in that game number 1, and was punished for it in the end. Was punished quite heavily. And now here we go. Sure, Solar's going to be taking things a little bit slower. NightMare, with his advantage, he can actually go for a different style entirely. You know, NightMare, he's a very flexible player. On a map like Gressfarm, I do think that it's wise to go for a more defensive style, and we saw that from Arcfire. If you were able to catch Arcfire versus Dark, the ace match, game 3 was on Gressfarm, and Arcfire went for the Showtime style. He delayed his Twilight Council, he went for a faster Robo, a faster Forge, went into Immortal production really early on, and he didn't push out. He didn't push out until he was fully saturated on 4 bases. He had 11 Archons, he had like 4 or 5 Immortals, a very, very insane death ball of an army. And Dark just couldn't hold on against it. Would not stop the onslaught of the Protoss. And overall, I'm not saying that NightMare has to play just like that, but there are different ways, of course. There are different ways to be defensive here on Gressfarm, and different ways to tech up. You can go for that heavy Archon Immortal style, the Showtime style of PvZ. You can go for a double Robo Colossus. You can go for Sky Toss as well. You do have options. You do have options. As across the map, Solar is just establishing his 3-base economy, just droning up. He's got a couple of Lings out. Ooh, very interesting. NightMare is going for a Void Ray first. Very interesting. Very interesting out of NightMare here. With this, he's going to be shutting down these Overlords. With this, he's going to be denying scouting information of Solar. And is this Glaives? This is looking like Glaive Adepts. Yep, there we go. Twilight Council is thrown down. Fun fact, who did we cast recently? Who did NightMare beat recently with this? I think it was Raynor. Yes. Yeah, it was in the sorry, it wasn't NightMare, it was Classic. Classic recently beat Raynor with this a couple of days ago, over the weekend. In the Africa TV Champions Cup. There's a lot of power, of course, behind this hidden build. So the goal here is you make it look like a Twilight Council. Sorry, you make it look like Blink Stalkers. That's the goal. You go for a 3rd base. You go for your Void Ray first. You even make 1 Oracle as well to sell the story. NightMare isn't making that 1 Oracle, so a risky move. As a result, Solar is more on edge. But upon seeing this 3rd base, everything looks normal. But it's anything but normal. It is going to be a Glaive Adept follow-up. Now, the longer this game goes on, without a Roach Warren, the worse this becomes for Solar. There we go. He does go for a safety Roach Warren, thankfully. So he will have access to Roaches. But will he make any Roaches? Because if he doesn't, like, the problem is that there's no reason. There's no reason to make Roaches right now. Just because now is the time to drone. Everything that Solar is seeing right now is telling him to drone, not to make army. You have a 4th base on the way. Additional gases are being taken. Again, thankfully Solar does have a safety roach ward, so he should be able to muster up an army. Oh, the adepts have been scouted. Very important scout coming out from Solar. We see him setting up the wall as well. Evo chamber is thrown down. We do have room here for another Evo chamber as well. Yep, the drone is waiting. With the full wall off, we can deny the adept shading into the natural base. Oh, that is not a full wall. Uh-oh. Oh, that is not the correct setup here from Solar, but that was also an ill-advised shade as well. A lot of the adepts did get surrounded. The lings are going down. Roaches are on the way. The adepts, so they do make it into the main. Solar able to preserve his drones, does pull his workers away in time. He's going to be losing a lot of lost mining time, but he does keep his workers alive, and that is what's important. Yeah, for the most part, with these roaches, with these queens, I do think that Solar is defending quite well. We have another wave of adepts are about to rock up. We're focusing down some of these workers, but yeah, we're forced to recall. This is not ideal for NightMare. This is a big commitment, a big delay on Blink, on the Forge, on +1. This needed to do more damage. And it just didn't. Again, Solar, very smart of him, or very cautious of him, to throw down a safety roach one a little bit earlier than normal. And as a result, he was able to get enough of an army out. Now NightMare's in a really rough position. There's a lot of power, of course, in this Glaive Adept build, but if it doesn't do any economic damage, then the Protoss player is just behind. He killed 5 workers, and we can see that NightMare, sure, like, he has a decent economy. It's not about the economy, though. It's about the tech. It's about the upgrades. It's about what NightMare has right now. He's just now finished his Blink. There's no +1. He rushed into a robotics bay. He's going into disruptors, so because he knows he's behind, he's trying to rush or race into disruptor production and Colossus production. That is a good way to make up for a supply deficit. Is it going to be enough, though? Because Solar, he's getting ready to push out. He's amassing a massive army as we speak. Hive being thrown down behind this. With the Hive, we have access to Vipers. And pretty soon, Solar's going to be pushing out. Boy. Back at home, we do have a NightMare setting up here on his 4 bases. Shield batteries on the way. NightMare just forced to be defensive, forced to stay at home, forced to turtle. I wonder, I'll quickly check in the vision here of Solar. I saw him check the northern bases. He now checks the center base, gets eyes on the 4th. Immediately, the army moves out. I think it may be too late, though. Like, obviously, Solar, he would have liked to have denied this 4th, or, like, made NightMare really work for it. But now it's done. Now we have 3 shield batteries. We have an overcharge. The army of NightMare is still pretty small, but with all these disruptors, he takes his 4th. He is still in this, very much so. Oh, he is still in this, but the disruptors are exposed. The Lings ain't dive on top of them, and there's no reaction. Oh my god, a massive kickoff here. Every single disruptor is going to be going down. The Baneling run by doesn't get any damage, but that was huge. Suddenly, NightMare, the thing that was keeping him in this game, the disruptors that he'd been working so hard for. He had 4 disruptors go down for free. Ay. Not like this. At the same time, Baneling Waddle by doesn't get any damage done. NightMare was able to defend in time. Up. Splits not looking too mad. As 2 Novas do go off, but Solar is closing the distance. At the same time, he's also laying siege upon the 3rd base as well. We can see that NightMare just doesn't have enough Banelings. They find their connections. 17 probes go down. Even more probes here at the 3rd base. Oh my god. The +1 melee lings. So much here. 28 probes fall. Now NightMare. He did such a great job recovering from the early game. He did such a great job at catching up, but yeah, after losing all those disruptors, we saw how things just very quickly slipped through his fingers. He's trying to get a 5th, or he does technically have a 5th base, I guess. But the problem is that NightMare needs time, and Solo's not going to give it to him. It doesn't exist anymore. It's Oliveira. I'm pretty sure Vipers have hit the field. Yeah, there we go. Vipers are now out, which means the one thing keeping NightMare in this game, which is the disruptors, there's now an answer to them. There's now an answer for them, and they're not going to be as impactful as they otherwise would have been. Here we go. The army pushes on forward. The Vipers have arrived. We do get 2 of those abductions, and 2 disruptors go down instantly. We still have plenty of energy left, and we hope for those abductions once again. NightMare has broken the 3rd, and GG gets called, and Solar has broken the 3rd. GG gets called, and Solar will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. We have an ace match. We have an ace match. We are going the distance, and it looks like the upper semifinals has concluded. Reason why I say that? The other casters are rocking up. The other casters have arrived. Just letting them know the score. Letting them know what's been going on. I'm just trying to figure it out myself. It looks like Beyond versus MaxPax went to the ace match. I just don't know who won. Let's have a look here. I'm trying to check out the streams, but I can't see anything. It looks like MaxPax is waiting in the grand finals for the winner of this series. And who is it going to be? As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. Tying it up 1-1 in that last game. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss representing Team Abydos. It is NightMare. Here we go. Solar, again, having a great reaction here to the Glaive Adepts. I say great reaction. He had really good scouting, so he was able to confirm the Glaive Adepts as they were coming out of the natural base. Likewise, Solar, he did have a much faster Roach Warren as well, just to be safe. Solar was playing very safe with that Roach Warren timing. Did mean that he had roaches out in time as well, and yeah, he was able to shut down those Glaive Adepts without them doing too much damage. We saw NightMare try to bounce back by rushing into Disruptor Tech, which does make plenty of sense. And he almost got away with it. He almost stabilized, and then he lost all his disruptors. Then he was caught out on the map by Solar. One mistake is all it takes, and NightMare was on the back foot from that moment. But now, we're in game number 3, the final game of this semifinals match. This is where it all ends. And again, the winner of this series does advance on to face off against MaxPax in the finals. Is it going to be a PvP or a ZvP? Unfortunately, that also means that today I didn't get to cast a Terran. Smooch. I was not able to cast a Terran player, so a little bit of a feels bad, man. Definitely. I would have enjoyed to have casted a TVP or a TVZ. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Next time, Miguelito. Next time, I'll cast some Vindicta. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. I feel like in these Open Cups, I was gonna say that I don't know why, but Vindicta, he just manages to just face off against Protosses every week. But there are just a lot of Protosses in the weekly tournaments. It's just it's just how it goes. I would like to see Vindicta against Zerg, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. as NightMare is mixing things up once again, going for a Twilight Council opener back at home. Going straight for that Robo as well. What's it going to be? Do we feel Glaive Adepts or do we feel DTs? On a map like Dragon Scales, this wouldn't be a bad map for something like Glaive Adepts, but we'll keep an eye on the gas count here. If we pull out a gas, it's going to be Glaives. If we stay in, it is going to be the Dark Templar, and there it is. Ooh, interesting. Okay. There's a lot happening. It is Glaives, yes, but we haven't pulled out a gas. So this means a couple of things. This either means we're going to be going for a 2-base all-in with 6 gateways instead of 4. This could also mean a fast or a Dark Shrine as well, so Glaive Adepts with DTs. Or this could mean Glaive Adepts into a fast Robotics Bay to get into Disruptors. So it's going to be one of those. It's typically one of those 3 things. We'll see which one it is going to be here. Basically, that gas is going to be spent somewhere. But where? For now, only 3 gateways, by the way. Interesting. 3 gate Glaive Adepts. Are we feeling a fast Robotics Bay? Curious. Yep, there it is. Fast Robo Bay. Because there's only 3 gateways, it's unlikely for it to be DTs, because ideally you want an even number, because they can morph into Archons once they morph in. So it is going to be a rush into the Robotics Bay. So it's a 1-2 punch here from NightMare. It is a 1-2 punch. The Adepts are being revealed. They're showing themselves across the map. They're going to force a reaction. But NightMare can't commit with this. If he loses his Adepts, he will lose the game. Meanwhile, Solo, he threw down a Roach Warren at a really reasonable time. Roach is already in production. Ling's already out as well. Solo taking this very seriously. For all Solar knows, it is 4 gate Glaive Adept. But again, because we're going to have that much less to work with, NightMare, he needs to just maintain map control as he is going into Colossus, not Disruptors. Okay. Let's go. First Colossus is on the way. 3rd base is being taken. And Solar, he may even be forced all in. Okay, there we go. I was about to say, Solar, because he cut workers so early on, and because he reacted so aggressively to this, Solar, his own economy is actually in a really awkward position. Just because he's been focusing on nothing but Links and Roaches, he's been focusing on building up an army that doesn't really have much of a purpose. As Lings are being shaved off, we do see that Solo's just trying to get an eye on things, and he does get confirmation that there is a 3rd base. Ooh, I don't know if I like what we just saw. NightMare also shows his hand and he reveals the fast Colossus as well. So Solar is aware ahead of time. He's like, I see, you went for a fast Robotics Bay. Okay. So it is going to be for the Colossus drop zooming across the map. NightMare being quite aggressive here with a handful of units. Warranted aggression. With this first Colossi, we can do a lot of damage. We're going to be warping in another wave of Stalkers as well. Again, there is no blink. Not yet, but in a couple of seconds there will be. Such an awkward timing. There is no Roach speed. There are a lot of Roaches and Ravagers waiting for NightMare, so he's going to be very careful with how he engages. He's dancing here with the army. Oh, Lee Zuka for a massive counterattack. They catch 2 of these shield batteries ahead of time. They force a recall as well. A very good counterattack here from Solar. At the same time, Adepts do make it into the main base. These are Glaive Adepts. Bear that in mind. There's a lot of potential for damage here, but so far they only get 2 drones. Meanwhile, NightMare does defend back at home. Oh, Solar working up towards an infestation bit for Hive Tech. He's working towards a Hydra Den as well. This is looking like the beginnings of Hydra Lurker Viper. Because Solar is aware ahead of time of the Robotics Bay, that means that the big thing in Solar's mind is Vipers. Regardless of what the army composition is on the ground, Vipers are necessary here to shut down these fast disruptors. there we go. We have the Lunkers on the way as well. So it looks like NightMare, he only made the initial Colossus just to be a little bit aggressive, but behind this he's going into disruptor production. Like, he's not really relying on Colossus at all. Oh, speaking of a massive shout out to the WCS GameHard developer on Twitter. I say on Twitter, I mean in general. In general, actually did post an update to WCS GameHard. I know that there was a bug. There was a change that was made a week ago or so to the Colossus, where it does have extended range, more range than it usually does. But yeah, shout out to the WCS developer. Did release a version of WCS GameHard, which does fix that. And a lot of love, a lot of passion out in the StarCraft community to fix the game ourselves in a way. Let's go. And I believe that patch, that add-on is going to be pushed in these weekly tournaments for ESL Open Cup Asia and Americas, if I am not mistaken. Meanwhile, back at home, the hive is done. We have Lunkers on the way. We have the lurker upgrades. Do we have any Vipers yet? We do have 2 Vipers out as well. There we go. They are just gathering, sucking up that building, gathering up that energy. Love it to see it. And yeah, behind this, NightMare is just macroing. He's just defending. He's just being a little bit more defensive instead, just building up his army. Do we have Storm? We do. We do have every form of splash damage right now. We have Storm, we have Disruptors, and we have the 1 Colossus as well. So NightMare doing a great job at just hurling up back at home. I don't know how I feel about this. NightMare hasn't maxed out yet. He's also, if I'm not mistaken, he's pushing out without the support of his Warp Prism. The Prism is going into the main base for some harassment damage instead. There's a risky move. Here we go. The lurkers have been revealed. Do we have detection with the army? We do not. NightMare is forced back at the same time. Zealous dive into the main base. The Prism is focused down. NightMare, he is being forced back. This is a late scout of these lurkers. Immediately, Sky Toss on the way for NightMare. But this may just be too late. We can see NightMare at every turn is stopped by lurkers. They are the anti-ground toss army. Oh god. Nerves are going to be going off, and they find some connections, but they don't get a single kill. As NightMare is being bullied back. And this is the problem, right? Like, because of the late scout, because of the late transition to Sky Toss, Solo's already maxed out. It's like, this is a problem that NightMare has to deal with now, and I don't think he can. A couple of lurkers are going down for free. Not too bad. Novas are going to be going off as well. Big connections on those lurkers. It looks like NightMare should be able to clean up this army. Despite being down in supply, Solo's army is inflated, and yeah, he's being forced back. Solid fight out of NightMare. A very necessary fight as well. Solar lost all of his lurkers. He still retains his Vipers at least. Oh. Okay. Okay, it's gonna go down. I was like, no way that lurker survives. Thankfully, it does go down. Thankfully. And NightMare has been able to survive the initial wave. Carriers are in production. He just needs a little bit more time. And I do think that Solar is going to give him that time. As the wall is not a wall, and the Lings do manage to slip into the main base. Oh boy, a lot of probes are going to be going down. carriers have arrived. They've been confirmed here by Solar. We do see Solar getting ready to engage with the ground army, but that's a lot of storms. Can NightMare control this army well enough? He does throw down the feedback. And with that, Solar has to back off. Oh, and now Solar's in some trouble. He's going for a Spire, but this is a bit of a late Spire for Solar. NightMare has been able to survive long enough to get into Skytoss. The 3 carriers have arrived. We have more carriers on the way. Boy, this could still go either way, to be honest. This is still up in the air. +1 air attack, +3 regular attack as well. The NightMare. A good lurker harass. It's going to be denying some mining time. It's going to be forcing a reaction out of the Protoss. And the army has to rotate on over. Ling Ranmai going to be threatening as well. Just trying to get a read on what has been going on. Solo's now getting into Corruptors, but because the Spire is so late, the upgrades for the Corruptors leave much to be desired. We've got +1 armor carapace on the way, which is going to help against the Interceptors. No, meanwhile, the -400 is upon us. Mama Ship is on the way. NightMare just refining his army before he moves out. We got a pretty good army. This are going down. There is that second Spire for double upgrades for a greater Spire as well. But again, it's going to take a while for Solar to really get there. Is it going to take a while? We got time. We have time, Baba. We can chill. We can chill. As we are finally going to be pushing out at least a little bit. The Vipers have arrived. They're looking for the abductions, and there we go. They do get the mothership, but do we have enough anti-air? We do. As the mothership goes down instantly. Tempest now on the way for NightMare. I like it. Tempest, they are a little bit more efficient than the carrier. They are a great and amazing siege unit, especially when the map is cut in half like this. But both players are just stuck at home. Tempest are king. Tempest, they don't care about your privacy. They will bust into your house one way or another. Solar just trying to turtle on up, fortify his bases. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting. I mean, NightMare has no reason to push out right now. His army's just getting better over time. And I think he just wants a more stronger Tempest count more than anything. We can see plenty of upgrades on the way, like shields, +1 air, +2 air attack, +1 air defense as well. More immortals are on the way. Tempest upgrade. I always forget what this upgrade is called, I'll be honest. Like, I'm aware of like high-sec auto tracking and ESL frames and hyperflight rotors and all that stuff. But this upgrade, it just never cemented in my mind. I don't know why. Tectonic destabilizers. There we go. Like, I know seismic spines and adaptive talents. Bombs are thrown down. Yeah, tectonic destabilizers. There we go. What does that mean? Does that mean that the Tempest, they shift the tectonic plates on the planet? It's possible. Tempests are huge. As here we go, we do have another abduct. Not too bad here. I believe that was a carrier going down. Yep, that was a carrier going down for Solar. I should also emphasize that back at home, Solar, he's setting up his Spore Forests. He's got plenty of Lurkers in position. Eventually, we want to trade out these Lurkers in favor of Broodlords, but that is after we get some good upgrades going. And right now, we're still working on 1-2 for the Broodlords, or for the Corruptors. The reason why we want to switch from Lurker into Broodlord is because a lot of NightMare's army is anti-ground. Like we have Disruptors, we have Colossus, we have quite a lot of the supply dedicated to deal with units on the ground, and so Broodlords will bypass that. Meanwhile, the Ling Hydra army does end up finding a free base. NightMare heavily out of position. Nexus is going to be going down, so good pick off here from Solar. And again, Broodlords are also a little bit more mobile compared to... there's a give and take between Broodlords and Lurkers. Lurkers, of course, are faster, so they can reposition faster as well. Broodlords, though, they can use terrain to their advantage a little bit better. So there is that give and take. Meanwhile, oh my god, that is a lot of DTs. We also have a big Spore Forest. Oh, I think we wanted to blink into the main. Ay, brutal. The DTs, they do get caught out. They are all going to go down. There's a bit of a recall, though, to save a handful of those Archons. 2 Archons will survive. Oh, shout out to the chat. Jeff caught up. Tectonic destabilizer. There we go. I'll try and remember that. I'll try and burn that into my skull. Think of the... That's the thing, right? I was about to say that because apparently it's related to like tectonic. I guess now in my brain I have to try and correlate a tempest with an earthquake. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Here we go. We do see another bit of an engagement. Another abduct comes in. Doesn't quite get the carrier though. It does survive. Solar rotating around. The NightMare looking for the best angle of attack. Sharp shot's going to be going off. They do take down one of the Lurkers. Not too bad. Decent Novas. Solar getting ready for a massive Ling counterattack here. This base on the right hand side is looking a little bit vulnerable. Lings can definitely get some damage done, especially with these Hydras to support them. Colossus will reposition. Well, again, the army of NightMare is still just dancing on the edge. You know what I would love, especially with the banks being built up like this? I would love NightMare to set up an outpost in the center of the map with shield batteries. Shield batteries, and I don't know if we need cannons, but at least shield batteries just on the outskirts of these bases of Solar would provide him such a powerful position to, or such a powerful anchor point for his army. We do often see that in split map scenarios, but NightMare's not going for that yet. He's going to be rotating around looking for another way in. Nova's going to be going off looking for those Lurkers, and it looks like they will find them. 2 Lurkers do go down. Oh, as we're going for the abducts once again, this time we're going to get 3 more carriers here as Solar is picking apart the army of NightMare. At the same time, Ling Runbai does hit the center base. Shield batteries, cannons are going down. NightMare isn't going to commit. He's going to back up. But regardless, Solar isn't going to commit. Solar is going to back up. But regardless, NightMare has been trading well. Solar's been trading well, sorry. Jesus. I'm still waking up. Confusing the names. Have more Vipers on the way. I do think that like something like this is probably a really good move. I do think like the Colossus has been alive this entire game, but we need to get rid of it. I do think NightMare has to just get rid of some of the bulk of his army that doesn't have too much value. I would say the disruptors as well. Like, we've seen a couple of lurkers go down to the purification heavens, which is nice, but I feel like the Tempest can do the same thing. They have a very similar role, and the Tempest is just better at that. And if we got rid of some of these disruptors, we'd free up supply for another mothership. We'd free up supply for more High Templar. We only have we have 6 High Templar, which is not a bad count, to be fair. As the NightMare is catching the Hydra army, picking up a lot of these things. NightMare being ambitious, trying to take one of Solar's bases, but yeah, it's not gonna happen. Never gonna get up and running. The frames, true. Oh, the frames, they're gonna go down, Papi. Watch them go down. There we go. Some more good Novas are connecting with those lurkers. God, the Broodlords have arrived, so we have been transitioning out of lurkers and into Broodlords. So far, do we have 3-3? We do have 3-3 for Solar. He's got the upgrades that he's been looking for, that he's been waiting for. And just trying to get an abduct off if possible. The Corruptors come forward. What's going on? Solar, he's not looking! Every single Corruptor goes down. Solar not quite paying attention to his army. And that's all of his anti-air gone. That was a massive loss for Solar. Right now, NightMare, he can press it at his advantage. He can push in. There's nothing stopping him. He should go for it, and there we go. I don't think Solar can keep this base alive. Solar, he doesn't realize. We can see he hasn't remaxed. He's down 40 supply. He doesn't know that he lost all his Corruptors. Otherwise, he'd be remaking them. There we go. 11 Corruptors are now on the way. Now he recognizes, hold up, something is wrong. My army is missing. He's going for a Ling Hydra run by here on the left-hand side instead. Or setting up for a run by. I do think that NightMare could have been more assertive here. I do think that he could have been a little bit more aggressive. But he's taking it a more passive approach. Just taking it slow. You know, shout out to Knights Lord Nate. Thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thank you. We appreciate the support. Bottom left-hand base is going to be going down. There's only 2 mineral patches, so not the most important base. High Templar have shown up to defend, but that's not a wise choice. Storms will connect with High Templar go down. We do end up holding onto that base, though. Nevers are going to be going off, and NightMare does take control of this central location, but the Corruptors have been rebuilt to good feedbacks on some of those infestors. Good storms as well. We do have a Parabomb Fungal combo, but for the most part, that isn't really going to do enough damage. We are able to pull back in time to the safety of these shield batteries. Solar is at least taking out the bottom left. Again, not the most important base though for NightMare. He has gotten a lot, or most of what he can out of it. The armies are still just kind of dancing with each other. Still no big commitment from anyone yet. Still have pretty big banks as well. Of course, Solar has a larger bank, but NightMare has the more efficient army. It's going to be pushing on forward. Central Nexus is going to be going down. A nice fungal on some of those interceptors. these fringe bases. The base on the right hand side is for the most part mined out. Left hand base is still pretty healthy. Still worth holding on to. NightMare's gonna make a choice. Like, is he gonna push his way through the center of the map or go for the fringe bases instead? Pushing through the center is just such a bold move. I'm concerned. And as we just mentioned, like, bottom left is the more valuable base. Going top right doesn't have as much going for it. He's going to be able to force his way up this ramp. Lurkers are going down. There's no detection. Lurker survives. There we go. Do throw down the revelation on that Lurker, but NightMare's going to back off. He's going to be relying on his disruptors to clean up. But yeah, for the most part, it feels like Solar's been on the back foot. These past couple of minutes, he's just been bullied back, bullied away from the center base. He's going to be losing top right. In saying that, though, Solar has a large enough bank to remax. The big problem here is that we're on Dragon Scale. So the reason why I bring up the map is because this map is so small. If a fight goes poorly, it's possible that Solar won't be able to remax. It's very possible that Solar may die before that can happen, just because if a fight goes poorly for Solar, suddenly he's going to lose the base as well. Like, he's going to lose more than just the army. It doesn't take too long for the army of NightMare to actually get upon a base as well after a fight goes well, or after he's able to take a fight. So yeah, we'll see if Solar can keep up. We'll see how he deals with this. If he wants to make use of his bank, he does have to be a little bit more proactive when it comes to abducting and sniping units. And sure, it's one of those things where maybe he loses like a couple of corruptors or like an infestor here or there whenever that happens. Like, we need to trade. We need to make use of that economic lead. That bank that we had. Tempest getting a couple of free shots in. Bungle going to be zoning away the army. Oh boy. This NightMare is just going to be backing off, making more Void Rays, more Tempest. Because of course he is, of course. I guess we should be looking at the unit stat more than anything right now. What do we have here? We have 25 corruptors for Solar. Pretty solid corruptor count, all things considered. 3 Vipers, 10 Infestors. Like, the army from Solar isn't too bad. He hasn't been very proactive. Like, ideally, it's mainly the creep. Ideally, in this scenario, as the creep advances on, the army can advance on. Because as the creep moves forward, we can bring forward the spores, the spine crawlers, the site defense. And that's really where the power of Zerg lies, you know, in their site defense, to be able to fight alongside it if possible. Ideally, Solar, he wants to fight with his spore forest. And you do that by being active and aggressive with your creep and being assertive on the map. We can see that because Solar has been pushed back time and time again, and because it's been a little bit more defensive or passive, the creep isn't really threatening any base at all. Like, NightMare has a lot of freedom out on the map, and that's why he's just been rotating between the bases. He's just been chilling here in the center, because there's nothing really slowing him down. And to be fair, it's difficult to keep up your activity and your creep spread with the Protoss, but it's something that this game NightMare has under full control. Let's have it. A couple more Novas are going to be going up, getting some sack defense. Ducked on an Oracle. Ducked. Oh. Gets the second Oracle as well. For the price of the Revelation. You'd love to see it. NightMare is going to be replacing them instantly. The power here behind the Oracle, of course, is that if you connect with a Revelation, the Tempest, they actually shoot further than they can see. So very important to keep tags on that army. To keep up with the army movements. Solar being active, moving out with his Corruptors, looking to try and maybe catch some reinforcements, maybe caustic spray down some buildings. Oh, and here we go. The Corruptors, they try to push forward, but yeah, they are going to be punished for that. Big storm goes off on those Corruptors. No way for them to engage on their own. They do have to rely on the Broodlords to create an opening for them. The way it works, of course, is the Broodlords ideally take control of the ground, or Broodlords and Ultras. And without something like Archon, Solar, he's going to have the freedom to dive on this army, go for like a parasitic bomb, stack on top of it, and yeah, deal with whatever is left from the Protoss. That's the plan anyway, that's the plan. Yeah, the reason why Solar can't like dive on this is because the Archons and the Storms would completely punish those Corruptors and completely shut them down. That is where the dance comes into play. Back and forth. The positioning. If no one making any big moves yet. I do think that NightMare has a little bit more initiative, and if he wanted to, he could be a little bit more active with his Tempest, at least. Uh oh. No, he's not looking! Oh my god, a massive shot goes off. 7 Infestors go down. Ay, ay, ay. This is not the first time that Solar was caught just not paying attention and looking elsewhere. Ay, ay, ay. And a big moment here for NightMare. He doesn't capitalize on it. He's taking it slow and steady. We can see spores are being brought forward. Broodlords looking to lay siege upon that ground army as well. Looks like Solar, he's getting a little bit antsy. Oof. Tempests are going to be able to lay siege upon these spores. You can see the Corruptor Viper wants to try to punish these Tempests, but again, they just cannot. The range is too real. A couple of probes go down. And both players have really low worker counts. They want to be building up their banks and their main armies. Worker supply is really more of a hindrance than anything. And because of these more efficient trades, NightMare even now has a larger bank than Solar, which is a terrifying thing. NightMare just a little bit more patient, a little bit more willing to wait for those opportune moments. Didn't even realize I was zoomed out already. Here we go. High Templar does go down. Broodlords. For some value. Then we punish a little bit as the Broodlords move forward, so do the Tempests. Picking off one Broodlord, one Corruptor. Oh, a couple of Broodlords actually. Oof, going for another Revelation. Bungle doesn't quite connect. Speaking of, Disruptor does go down to the Broodlords. We do see Solar being pretty aggressive with the feedbacks. do connect on every single one of those Vipers. They do manage to connect with a parasitic bomb. A massive power bomb on the army. Fungals as well. The spells are real. But is there enough of a follow-up? Is there enough? That is the question. It looks like NightMare is going to be able to hold strong for now. His army is so battered and so bruised. One more Fungal would almost kill every single Void Ray. Meanwhile, the Archons, hello? The Archons managed to push out and they didn't really get too much done. Likewise, the Blinkstalker army as well, getting across the map. NightMare just wants to get rid of some of these units. Needs to get rid of them. And he needs to re-establish himself here in the center of the map. There we go. We have more shield batteries on the way. Solar was able to actually take control of this center portion of the map. If you remember, it was 10 minutes ago where NightMare had control here, and Solar has been able to take that from him. Pretty good stuff. Getting cold. I need to put something on as the Broodlords are pushing on forward once again. They're going to be able to take down some of these shield batteries. Storm helps zone them away. That Templar does go down. And now the battle of attrition is real. Vipers have been rebuilt, just gathering up that energy. Stalker army out here as well, just doing what it can. I'm surprised there are still stalkers out on the map. You see Solar just trying to bait his opponent in. Well, the probes are going to be going down. We don't need, it's okay, we don't need them. Don't need those probes. Oh my god, big storms on those corruptors. They did take down the carrier. Big storms nonetheless. Let me just quickly double check. Yeah. One corruptor went down, 2 carriers and an oracle. Not too bad here for Solar. Finally, a bit of a better moment for him. Ultra run by on the right hand side. Going to try and punish one of these bases, but no, we have plenty in position. These ultras are going to be going down. Bit of an expensive loss for Solar, but you could argue maybe he just didn't want the ultras anymore. As the stalkers are going to hit the field. And they're going to be quite a nuisance here for Solar. We have 56 things in production. Feels drone, man. We're running out of money. We are actually just running out of resources. We have 0 mineral patches left here on the left hand side, 0 minerals on the right, or gas as well. It looks like the only base available here, or the only resources available here for Solar is this center base. Outside of that, we have mined out. Likewise, we have 2 mineral patches left here for NightMare as well. We are running out of money on Dragon Scales. They are running out of resources. So we're forcing NightMare back. Taking a couple of big storms to the face, but it's all good. He can tank some storms. Lings on the right hand side are gonna be going down almost for free. Pretty efficient trade from NightMare. Yeah, but as we can see, probes are being thrown away. No, there's minerals in one of them. Is there? Why not? We're good. No, yeah, there is. Yeah, there. No, the minerals. We need that. Merge. I love this. Gas Geyser is under threat as well. The last gas being mined for Solar. We catch a lot of Stalkers. But it's okay, we're replacing the Stalkers with more carriers. Oh my god. Jeez. 7 carriers in production. We're running out of the gas bank. Gas bank is going down. But here we go, the 10% do expose them. Those massive storms do go off onto those Corruptors down to half HP. Do we have any storms left? We do. We have 5 High Templar in the chamber or in the back line. Turning away those Broodlords. I'm gonna... getting my robe ready. I'm so... I don't know why I'm so cold. Oh, as this is a battle of attrition, a battle that Solar is actually kind of winning on. As the base on the right hand side did full, but there's no resources left anyway. Like we don't need that base anyway. I do think that like NightMare has a really big mineral bank. And how do you spend that money? How do you spend those minerals? Shield batteries. I do think that we have been lacking a little bit when it comes to how proactive NightMare has been with his shield batteries. As well as cannons. Otherwise, we're just not gonna use the bank. Period. Like, sure, it helps with like interceptors, but we don't need 10,000 minerals worth of interceptors or 9,000 minerals worth of interceptors. Oh boy. So we have reached the 45-minute mark. Can we get to an hour? I have casted an hour-long game before. I have done that. I'm always going to remember it. So it was on Eternal Empire. It was a PvP between Neeb and Gung Fu Banda. This was back in 2021, I think. 2021. TSL qualifiers. TSL Americas qualifiers. Exclamation mark Funada, Neeb, and Gung Fu Banda. It was just like this as well. It was a PvP, Skytos versus Skytos, and both armies, they just avoided each other until the map was mined out. And then as soon as the hour like hit, as soon as it was an hour past, they aped into each other. They just aped. I think Neeb won that. I think Run By gonna be cleaned up as well. We have 14 more leagues in production for Solar. NightMare, he's out of gas. I think Solar wins because of that, right? Can NightMare trade efficiently enough? It's still so hard to call. Like, sure, Solar can remax, but if a big fight happens and if NightMare out trades Solar, then Solar's gonna then Solar can lose. So again, a lot of this is going to come down to the engagements. Is going to come down to how efficient, how meticulous our players can be. We still have a couple of mineral patches left. No gas though. Every single gas geyser is now completely mined out. Only 3 mineral patches left. You can see the queens are being brought forward. Setting up for that round by. Or even a surround. Yeah, they go for the round by. The Oracle will go down. It's all about the energy-based units here. Both players. Spores are slowly tunneling on forward. I know what I'm doing after this tournament. Going to bed. I didn't get that much sleep to begin with, but here we go. Couple shots are going to be going off. Broodlord does get sniped, not too bad. Queen almost goes off as well. Yeah, let's have a look at the units tab. There's nothing in it's fine. There's nothing in production. Units tab up. Units tab. 19 carriers. I think that's a lot of carriers. See, this is the problem. This is the like we should probably talk a little bit about what NightMare is working with right now. Imagine if this carrier count was cut in half and we had more Tempest instead. It would mean that he'd be more active here with these snipes. Like every now and then, a couple of Tempest shots go off and we pick off like a Brood Lord or two, or like an Infestor or two. If we had 10 Tempests, we could do so much more. But now, because we have mass carrier instead, here we go. We are diving on forward. We have a massive fungal on the army. The frames are dropping the power bomb as well. Sorry. There we go. A lot of splash damage was done to this army, but very little died. Very little did die. Oh, big storm going down. Solar burning through his bank after that fight. Did lose the majority of his corruptors. That is what NightMare wanted. As NightMare still has plenty of minerals, he rebuilds his interceptors. His carrier count wasn't touched. He lost 1 Tempest in that fight. He lost 1 Tempest. Let's see, 1 Tempest, 1 carrier, 1 Void Ray for 11 corruptors. That was such a good fight for NightMare. I love it. He's making use of his minerals as well. Going for Zealot run-bys. Solar has been attempting to go for Ling run-bys, but the Zealot counterattack here gets a hatchery. Let's go. Oh, units lost. Oh, that's what we want to see. Aye. Too many. True. Yo, there are the shield batteries. Let's go. They're on the way, Papi. They're on the way. Shield batteries are on the way. Units lost. How much of it? We lost 50 corruptors this game. My god. 547 lings. Oh, no, it's not too much. A2 zealots. As yeah, Solar, he's burnt through his bank. He's down to only a handful of gas. Oh, sorry, a handful of minerals. 300 gas. That was just such a good fight for NightMare. And I don't know what. I don't know how Solar can kind of approach this in the end. He's got those 3 Vipers, of course, that can try to pick away at this. These like fungal and powerbomb combos have really not been working out at all for Solar. Unfortunately, been pretty brutal. Has been quite brutal. But yeah, it's going to come down to another big fight. And as long as NightMare is able to fight with his shield batteries, then he's going to be fine. Here we go. Solar, he's looking for it. He's looking for a way in. He wants it, Bobby. He wants it. Do you manage to get a tag on those corruptors? You barely managed to. We have to be careful. We're down to 1 Oracle, and we don't have that many resources to make even more. Not making it. The High Templar. The Storm drop. Let's go. Or the feedback drop, even. In the chat, Max still awake. Mate, I'm struggling, mate. I'm struggling to stay awake, to keep the eyes open, fam. Aye. I was struggling earlier. It's okay, I'm getting my second wind. Jesus. But yeah, despite the advantage that Solar had earlier when it comes to at least his bank, it's gone at this point. I do feel like, I don't know, he needs the perfect fight, and I don't know if he has that in him. Like earlier, he was trying to pick up a couple units here and there with abductions, but I don't know if that's going to be available or an option anymore. As I say that, there we go. 2 Tempests do go down. Very nice trades out of Solar. We're down to only 1 Tempest. Only 1. NightMare's army is that much smaller. I just realized that we have a bunch of prisms. Why do we have a bunch of war prisms? Gonna be going down. Zealot Rambai gonna be trying to distract Solar's army. And we're going to be able to take down a couple of these bases. Hatcheries are going down. The Zealots, they're putting in some work. Definitely. Putting in a lot of work. Yeah, I'll keep it on the unit stab for now. I'll keep it on the unit stab. As the spores are just leapfrogging forward. Oh my god. I feel like this is still going to come down to one big fight. I mean, the fact that there's only 1 Tempest is pretty huge. The Tempest wouldn't be able to threaten Solar anywhere near as much as they otherwise usually would. Oh, the Zealot dropped. Let's go. We went forward for the Revelation, but we actually didn't have any energy for it. It's all good. Didn't quite connect. Broodlords are pushing on forward. Solar, he's got some momentum going his way. Here we go. Storm going to be zoning away the Corruptors, but the Broodlords are pushing on forward. We do land a massive fungal on the army. We're looking for the Parasitic Bomb. At the same time, Zealot drop into the main base. We'll be sniping some key tech structures. Which doesn't matter because I mean Solar's not making anything anyway. Like this isn't the biggest of deals. Yo, the Broodlords are coming in. We will blot out the sun with the Overlord. I've said Broodlords, Overlords. My apologies. The Overlords, they're coming, Papi, they're coming. Send them all in. Another abduction. Oh my god, no! Oh my god. A couple of Infestors go down and big pickoffs. 2 Infestors for 1 Disruptor. Uh-oh. I mean, we still have 9 more Infestors, but for a while there, Solo was bullying the army of NightMare back, so yeah, pretty good pickoff. Meanwhile, the creep is pushing on forward. The Spore Forest is coming. Is encroaching on the army of NightMare. There we go, we get another abduction. Another carrier goes down. For the next big fight, NightMare, he's not going to have any shield batteries. He still has... We have 4k mineral. Get it up. Make... Why don't we have another, like, farm of shield batteries? As here we go. Here come the abductions once again. We're forcing a fight. Fungals will be connecting. Where's the Parasitic Bomb? We are going to be getting that as well. Oh my god, NightMare, he's had enough. He doesn't care, but he should. Massive storms are going to be connecting on those Corruptors. We have a couple of Neurals coming in. We are running out of Interceptors, and it looks like... Do we have it up? Up! It looks like NightMare is going to be losing everything. We have too many Corruptors. GG gets called. And Solar takes game number 3, advancing on to the grand finals 2 minutes before the hour-long mark. 2 minutes. GG. Ah! Oh my god. GG, well played. Congratulations to Solar for bringing it back. Things were looking dire. Things weren't looking too good, but he was able to snipe those Tempests earlier, able to bully back the army, bully back those shield batteries. We had 4,000 minerals in the bank. Could we have had... What I was trying to say before the fight happened was, really, there's no reason why NightMare shouldn't have had another farm or another forest of shield batteries. behind that base, set up prematurely to kind of fall back towards to support himself. But alas, didn't have it. GG, well played. We're going to America. Oh my god. We're going to the land of the Americas. Solar advances on to the grand finals to face off against MaxPax in another ZvP. And are we going to get a game like that again? Oh, I hope not. I hope not, but... Let's go. Let us go. We have the finals. I can choose the predictions. We're done. We're done, papi. Done. Let's go. Alright, we are going to be getting ready here for the grand finals. It's going to be another PvZ, hopefully a very different kind of PvZ. Not again, Papi, not again. But a shout out to NightMare. I don't want to gloss over that too much, but NightMare did really well for himself, going toe-to-toe with Solar, going into the late game there, able to force that to actually be really close. There were a lot of really good moments for NightMare. I do think that his main army was lacking, as in I don't like how heavily he committed. I don't like how heavily he committed into carriers. I think we saw that towards the end. Once Solar sniped those Tempests, like that's like the quote-unquote energy-based unit. Like, because Tempests have such a long range, they gain so much value over time, and they punish, you know, the army from pushing in or from overextending. From overextending too much. So getting into this, but yeah, they gain so much value over time, and we only had three. We only had 3 Tempests, and when 2 of them got sniped, then at that point we had no more gas left, and we actually remaxed on more carriers, and yeah, just not really the unit that we wanted, that we needed out of that. Oh god. The Chilean players in the chat are getting rowdy. In-game, I should say. In-game, they're getting rowdy. GG, well played.